guys? Welcome to a day in the market that is closed. I want to say happy 8-year anniversary to the Cleveland Cavaliers coming back from a 3-1 deficit to the Golden State Warriors to win the 2016 NBA championship. Happiest day of my life. Offense intended to everybody involved in my life. Everybody. That was literally the happiest day of my life. There's some interesting things I want to talk about. We're going to make a video later on about Bank of America's fund manager bullish sentiment or something around those lines. And it's to show everybody that, it's so funny to me. Everybody, oh, this person's a money manager. They must be really smart. It's like, guys, they're no different than you and I. You have an advantage to destroying fund managers. What's that advantage? You have no career risk. You can make decisions that sit on them for a long time and have to worry about what everybody else is doing. Fund managers have to worry. They're just as susceptible, if not more, to the emotions of the market. So when I hear people say like, oh, that's the smart money, I always laugh because that is not the smart money. You are the smart money. You can be the smart money. The very, very few fund managers who are the smart money probably suck for long periods of time. That's the interesting part. And the biggest access to success that you can have as an investor is the emotional ability to do things when everybody else is doing the opposite. That's what's going to differentiate you. For fund managers, it doesn't work that way. They've got career risk. If their job is to stay as close as possible to the S&P 500, and it's very difficult to do that consistently with independent thought. That's the issue. So what is going on? Obviously, the market not open today makes it a little bit different. I don't know if you guys noticed. This is our 24/7 channel. We have our main channel, which is growing like gangbusters. It's going very, very well. This channel is going very, very well. We actually think this channel will surpass the main channel in the near future. I don't know when, but this channel has been doing great. What are you doing, Tim? Tim's adjusting my glow. So it's really important to me when I talk about money management that the reason this channel's here is to say to you, you have the ability to do better than all these Harvard MBAs. I literally laugh when somebody says, look at this money manager, they're so good. I'm like, okay. If they're saying during a bull market that the money manager is good, they're probably not. And if they're saying during a bear market, look at Cathie Wood. Everybody was revering Cathie Wood. Why? Because ARK was going like this for a long time. And we were the only ones criticizing her, literally at the top. And people were saying, you don't even have a hedge fund. You're an idiot. And by the way, I'm an idiot, but for different reasons altogether. And now it's gone like this. I just saw something else. At the peak of the dot-com boom, I believe NVIDIA had an $8 billion market cap. At the bottom, it had like a $3 billion market cap. If you were a regular investor, 99% of people out there, you'd have said this is a bad business. Yet revenue was growing, and now it's a $3.3 trillion market cap. That's 1,000x. 1,000 times this. Don't look at market cap and stock price. Look at business fundamentals. You want to find businesses where the stock price is going down, but the fundamentals are getting better. You want to take the market's emotional rides up and down to your advantage. Money managers cannot do that. Money managers have to be as close to the S&P as possible. They can't take, and the other thing is they're capped on what they can own. They can't own, they have to, I believe most mutual funds have a restriction. You can't have over 5% of your money in one stock, which means your winners can't run. I always laugh so hard, and it actually aggravates me when people say, money managers are smart money. They're not. They're idiots. And that's okay. It's hard for them to be that way. I'm sure they'd do better if they didn't manage outside money. Warren Buffett says, if you can't manage your emotions, you should not be managing money. Everybody's emotional. So we're going to do a video where I'm going to show this index going back to 2000 of the money managers' like volatility of their emotions. And when they're least optimistic, what those times were, and they're most optimistic, what times they were. Can you guess when they were most optimistic? The same time as retail. It's going to be an interesting video because I want everybody to see that money managers have a disadvantage to you. Disadvantage. disadvantage. That's a huge deal. That's very, very important to understand. So what holiday it is? Juneteenth, Carl. Today's not a holiday at Fisker. Too soon. Paul thinks I'm smart. Yes, Taylor. You know, Taylor, you're 100% right. Being down 60% in stocks will make you feel dumb. Peter Lynch always says, I've bought stocks at 12, gone to 2, and then gone up to 50. But remember, if it made sense at 12 and the fundamentals are getting better, staying the same, and it goes to 2, it is very difficult to continue buying. Don't get me wrong. This is not an easy thing. I'm not trying to say it's an easy thing. I will never say it's an easy thing. That's a big reason why I stick with larger cap companies. So it's easier, I think, to deal with it on bigger companies. Like to me, Meta at 9, I bought Meta on $88 on November 5th or 4th, 2022. I actually bought it that day, not the start. I was buying from 150 and below or whatever. Maybe it was 200. My base is like 140, 150. Whatever it was, I bought it on that day. I was like, listen, this is still a big company that has the 3.5 billion people use the 3 biggest apps in the world, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. I'm like, this is a disconnect. And I'm not bragging about that to say, I think Baba will end up being that. I think there'll be other companies like that. But in the meantime, guess what happened at $88 a share? Facebook's dead. Mark Zuckerberg's an idiot, blah, blah, blah. Now we're back to Facebook and Meta are awesome. Mark Zuckerberg's a genius, etc. These are very difficult to do when a stock is down 60% or more. Where do you see the cost? And can somebody help Michael A. on the cost for the longer term plans? Nick or Tim. What's up with SoFi? Yeah, SoFi is a big stock. I'd love to see a video about Snowflake. You know, I don't know much about Snowflake, but if you're in the community, put a request in for Snowflake. That's when I think it's easier. Fundamentals. You're right. Oh, Taylor, you're 100% right. And you're right that a lot of times, like even now, we're in a great GDP growth. There'll be great companies where fundamentals are going to get worse, but they're getting worse for the reasons of recession or something like that. That's the hard part. This is why investing so hard, guys. Taylor, you're hitting out the head here. Like 2 great comments. He's 100% right. I'm starting to lose hope for PayPal. Yeah, I don't blame you, Lima. Don't think that thought hasn't gone to my head either. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm wrong on PayPal. The fundamentals are still getting better. The stock price is down a lot. Who knows? It is very difficult to see a stock stagnate, and it probably will go down even further if we have some sort of bear market. I have a hard time believing it's not going to be dragged down with everything else. We did a video recently on AMD, I think, Pantelis. Didn't we, guys? Wasn't that part of our AI video?
Live stream, everything on 24/7 yesterday?
Was it? 24/7 channel yesterday, we did AMD? No. Oh.
Mo did.
Yeah, he did a trading one. Wasn't it part of our AR stocks or maybe not? I don't know. What do you think about CL? What's CL? Oh, Colgate. I don't know what I think about Colgate. Everybody loves that dividend. That's a high PE. Oh, great return on invested capital, though. 3 better free cash flow than earnings. Oh, that is skyrocketed. Look at that. 52-week low of $67. It's at $97 now. I mean, this is probably not a company that's growing a ton. Yeah, it's 3 or 4% growth. I'd put it in Stock Analyzer and see what you think. It doesn't seem like it can justify 26 to 30 times free cash flow, but maybe it can. Hey, Zach, what's going on? I didn't even see you comment there. Lima, Peru. I really wish Sprout Market goes, I know, Rocket Mike. But here's the thing, Rocket Mike. If it goes down a lot, the sentiment's going to shift on that. It's funny. I almost got a full position on Sprouts. Bought Chewy at 16 from your video. Oh, really? What's my average on PayPal? That's a good question. Let me look it up. Let's see here. Let me look up what my cost basis is on PayPal. Why does this Merrill thing take forever to load? Oh, Kathy Wood, our girlfriend. Let's see here. Stocks. PayPal. My basis on PayPal is $61.75. $61.75. That is my basis on PayPal. Oh, sorry, Diego. Diego was asking. By the way, but Diego, I don't think it matters what his basis is. What matters is where does it stand now? Versus if your basis, if it goes to 30, and let's say my basis is 61.75 as of right now. I know I have some puts at lower prices, so maybe I get more shares and it brings my basis down. But if the stock goes to 30, it doesn't matter if your basis is 61, your basis is 25. What matters is it a really good investment at 30? That's the hard part about investing, because we do get attached to being up. Look at Sprouts Farmers Market. I'm up 120% on Sprouts. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not happy about it. Like, I'm happy, but I'm not happy. I'm like, I wanted to get more shares at a lower price. And then once I have my position I like, then I'll let it run. I want to let it run. But until then, it's like, you have to look at, it's always hard because it's nice to see all, you know what I just did yesterday? Here's what's going to screw me. I sold a lot of short-term gains because I have my losses from my NVIDIA short that I can offset it with. Now it's going to change my numbers on my account to show me a much higher basis on my investments, like Target, like Sprouts. I even sold my Sprouts short-term gains so you got to worry if you attach yourself to being up or down. That number is going to mess with you. Like, for example, if you do something like where you have a loss, you're like, oh, I'm going to offset it with some short-term gains. That we don't have to, because with short-term gains, you can sell them and buy them back immediately. On losses, you cannot do that. You have the wash sale rules. So it's a great benefit to be like, okay, I'm just going to sell X amount of dollars in gains, offset some of my losses, and now I have a higher basis on my investments. With Apple getting out of the buy now, pay later, it helped PayPal pay in full. Maybe they will. You might be right. Oh, my average on BABA. See, that's the thing. There's an example. BABA, I don't have my right average on there. I think it's 120 to 130 because I did a tax loss harvest on BABA, bought what was the other one? Baidu. It skyrocketed, helped me out, skyrocketed better than BABA. So it's hard to say am I down on BABA? Yes, absolutely. Am I down 50%? No. Am I down 30 or 40? Maybe. I don't know. My books say I'm up on it because of the tax loss harvest. That's not correct, though. That's just not correct. Why don't you talk about mining stocks? Jerry, you know who talks about mining? Who'd like to talk about mining stocks? I think that'd be Dalton, our in-house analyst. He loves commodities. I always tease him. I always joke with him, and Dalton pitches me and goes, Paul, I got this great business. Its revenue last year was $2 billion. This year it's on pace for negative $4 billion in revenue, but next year it's going to do $100 trillion in revenue. I think we should buy it. Dalton's much better about analyzing commodity-based businesses than I am. I don't know how you guys do it. That's a tax question for an accountant, but tax loss harvest here it's pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of waiting 30 days, and hopefully you buy a company that has the same kind of fundamentals, the undervaluation, and replace it, and you get a tax benefit for it. What do you think would happen in NVIDIA if China attacks Taiwan? I don't know, Lima. No, Marco, so you can't sell any loss, short-term or long-term, and buy back right away. You can buy back right away, but the IRS is not going to let you take that loss. They're going to convert that loss as an ongoing thing. You can do it. You can immediately do it, but they're not going to let you take that loss. What you have to do is wait 30 days. It's called a wash sale rule. So if you have a stock that goes down, you're down $5. If you sell it today, but buy it back today, the IRS is going to say you still have a $5 loss. You can't write that off of a $5 gain. Oh, I have no idea what's going on with French elections. All I know is that Macron is telling everybody to stop the far right. And I always wonder, what's the far right in France? I mean, yeah, I know. It's just like, I mean, it's the far right of France. It's like, okay, cool. I mean, I don't know. It's France. You remember, guys, I don't really care much about geopolitical things. Maybe I'm naive for doing that. But I just believe I'm okay waiting. Like, look at BABA. BABA's got a lot of geopolitical risks involved, right? Okay, it's got geopolitical risks. What happened? I mean, I'm into BABA for the long run. I think it's still going to be a big player 10 years from now. In the meantime, I don't know where the stock's going. It could go to $30 a share. I have no idea. And that'll suck if it goes to $30 a share. I'll hate that. And I got to keep my emotions in check saying, is the company better? I don't know. Check Umicore. Are there any safer plays to sell cash secured puts on PayPal at this late level? I mean, I don't know what's safe or not safe. It's all depending on what price you want it at. That's it. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to decide what kind of return you want in your cash, where the strike price is. I'll tell you, it's easier to sell cash secured puts on PayPal than it is on Microsoft because of the value where it's at, in my opinion. The thing is, BG dollars, I think BABA might be the biggest stock in my portfolio in total dollars. Target's getting up there because Target's just run up so much since I bought it. CCL. I don't have an opinion on CCL. CCL is a great story because I always tell people I was 100% wrong on CCL and I made money. It's a great example of you shouldn't determine your being right or wrong based on making or losing money. I still think I'm going to be right on NVIDIA, but I lost money on my NVIDIA short. I still think I'm going to end up being right on it. I still think I'm going to be right on my S&P, NASDAQ short, but I lost money on it. There's a difference. CCL issued way more shares than I expected, and they took on way more debt than I expected. I exited it and miraculously made money because the emotion of the market at that time drove it up in price. And I was like, they are issuing tons of shares. I think they were taking advantage of where the stock price was going. So I was wrong on them, but it turned out to be that's what I always tell people. It's really, really difficult. And I get it. When a stock falls, I criticize that. It's if the fundamentals originally, when you made the decision, were stupid. Like Peloton, like Workhorse, like Nikola, all these ones I sat there and said, what the F are you doing? UiPath, whatever, every Cathie Wood investment ever. So when it goes down 70%, I go, yeah, you're an idiot because you shouldn't have bought it that price. But if you should have brought it a price and it goes down, but the fundamentals are the same or getting better, only down, let's say the business is down, the stock is down 60%, but the business is only down 5%. That's when you go, okay, I'm fine with this. There is a difference, and that's the hard part. CCL, God, they took on so much debt. And I don't remember why. Was it because it took a lot longer to get back into business? I don't really remember how it got. China's doing fine. Guys, remember about China. China economically will grow. A recession for them is 4 or 5% growth. That's a recession for them. That's a recession for them. It's still the fastest growing middle class in the world. Martin, great question. Okay, first off, Zach. Zach's one of my Paul Super Shorts. Remember, I'm going to answer this first. For your covered calls, what percentage of possibility of hitting do you look for? So he's talking about delta. It all depends, but we go from 0.05 to 0.25. It just depends on the position size of that position at that time. If BABA hit 400, so Mo had a question yesterday to me. He called me up and said, Paul, Apple's at $2.15 a share. What should I do? I said, okay, let's look at it this way. Mo's basis in Apple is $17. Okay. So it's at $2.15. His basis is $17. So let's call it $200 in profit per share. I said, okay, what's your tax on that? 30%. That's $60 a share. So I asked him, 215 minus 60, 155. Mo, are you a buyer of Apple at 155? He goes, probably not. I said, then I think you should consider selling it. But before, when it was at 175, he asked me the same question. And I said, okay, Mo, 30% equals 48. So 48 minus 75 is 127. I said, are you buying of Apple at 127 when the stock was at 175? He said, absolutely. I go, then keep the shares. So there's several reasons to sell a company. One of them is you're all 100, it's not him. You're all 100% invested and you need the cash for a much better investment. But I also think you should look at it. This is where I think taxes matter. Take your tax payment, subtract it from your price and say, if the stock was there right now, would it be an obvious buy for me? If the answer is yes, then just keep it. There's no reason to pay the tax except for ego to go, look at me. It sucks to see it. Then again, a lot of people would rather pay the tax than see the stock drop 30 or 40%. But that's the way I look at it. That's what works for me. I'm not saying it works for you. Now for me, I have a lot of cash. So I'm just going to keep, look at Sprouts. I don't think Sprouts is worth $80 a share, but I'm keeping it. Why? Because I have no other place to put the money. And I'd rather just let it run. And I don't know what's going to happen in the stock. I've lost way more. Look at Microsoft. I bought Microsoft between $17 and $21 a share. I sold it at 60, saying it was overpriced. And every step along the way from 60 to 450, I thought it was overpriced. And now I think the company's worth 225, 250. Boom. That's why you don't sell sometimes. But that's why I look at this going, when it comes to selling, if Baba went to $400 a share, I'd be like, I think I'd sell. Oh, man, I don't know. I don't know. I actually can't say. If I was 100% invested, I would sell it probably. Oh, Target's down 15% in the last 3 months. I didn't even notice that. Great question, Kyler. I'm going to ask that in 2 seconds. Let me look at Target real quick. What's it at? I think my buy price for Target was sub 135. Yeah, I'm not really a buyer right now. And I have a good enough position right now. And I'm up. Well, I shouldn't even care about that. I shouldn't even care about that. It doesn't matter. When looking at potential investment, how much work do you do to understand current management? I'm not going to lie to you, Kyler. I buy large cap companies. On $50 billion or more, I don't really care that much. Probably not a good idea because I hate the way they capital allocate. But on smaller, like Sprouts Farmers Market, one of the reasons I like them so much is because their CEO came from the 99-cent stores. And I think he did a great job at those stores, maximizing revenue and doing a great job. And I think that really matters a lot. But don't get me wrong. How many companies do I own where they're buying back shares? I'm like, why are you buying back shares? So that's the management stuff I care about. Target, go woke, go broke. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I agree with you, Nate. 100%. It's a difficult question whether to hold overvalued companies or not. Comes down to personal investing philosophy. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. How long do you think for CCL to clear their debts? Carl, I don't know. I don't know. No, don't apologize, Zach. For covered calls, is there also a time frame you're more focused on? I do 1 to 2 months on my covered calls. Sometimes 2 weeks. That's I just do, so call it 2 weeks to 2 months. How happy are you with PayPal? Are you going to buy also at $5 at a time? That's a great question, Oleg. I don't know. Optimize. What's one stock you wish you owned but you don't? Got every stock out there. Dalton, this is something that I've learned a lot. If you're going to have a 100 bagger, it's going to be expensive looking a lot of the times. Guys, Microsoft's my biggest regret. Probably Oleg selling it at 60. Because here I was, the smart guy who said Microsoft was a good buy at 17 to 21 when a tech CEO was telling him how stupid I was. And I picked it and it was right. And I sold it because it was overvalued. Guys, the Paul of years ago is not the Paul of today in investing. I'm not selling anymore because it's overvalued. I'm only going to sell. If it's a compounder, I'm just going to let it ride. It's going to be hard to watch it go up and down, but you just got to do that. Rocket Mike, great question. Brookfield, their business of asset management, I think has got a lot of stable revenues and stable profits. Not going to lie to you, it's probably my least confident stock pick. It's probably the one that you said to me, Paul, sell one stock that you have, probably Brookfield. Probably only because, not because I think it's a bad play, because I don't think I understand it like I thought I did. I actually just said the other day I might be selling it just because I don't understand the business as well as I thought I did. How do you find great companies at cheap prices? Well, Brian, good question here. Don't look at $100. Remember, I want you to watch the video about stock splits. Forget about being $100 not. It's about what you're buying versus value. Look at Berkshire Hathaway, $660,000. It's a way better price than NVIDIA at now $84.60. My personal opinion is I don't like Palantir at $21.50. I could be wrong, but it's all about understanding that future cash flow, Brian. When you're buying a company, you're buying a future cash flow. If you don't have our software, our stock analyzer, I'd get it because it'll really immerse you into the idea of saying, okay, what's that future cash flow? Also buying good balance sheets. You know what Palantir does have? Phenomenal balance sheets. Palantir has a phenomenal balance sheet. Phenomenal. They have more cash than debt. Phenomenal balance sheet. But I think the price to pay for Palantir is too high. But you know what? Who knows what happens? Would anyone go long on NVIDIA? Not at these. For me, Eldis, I just don't think it makes sense at these levels because What is that to grow free cash flow in order to justify its current price? I mean, compare it to Microsoft. Microsoft generates how many tens of billions? I don't know. It's hard for me to get around that one. I think Microsoft has more free cash flow than NVIDIA has revenue. Apple has more free cash flow than NVIDIA has revenue. But NVIDIA has potential to grow a lot more. It's just a hard one to play there. And for me, I'm okay being out on NVIDIA. If it goes to 5,000, well, now 500 a share. Yeah, guys, I mean, Diego, I think you're 100% spot on. Where NVIDIA goes, the market's going to go. Yeah, InMode is interesting. We looked at InMode in the past. Do you think Amazon will split again soon? I don't know. I don't think so. Oh, great job, Nate. Good job. That's hard to do. Being up. And by the way, I do not agree that you can't go broke making a profit. Yes, you can't go broke. Well, you can go broke making a profit, but I don't believe that you should just sell to take a profit. You have to let your winners run. And unfortunately, that might mean at some point, let's say I'm right on Alibaba and it goes to $1,000 a share in 10 years. It'll probably, look at Nick. Nick just had a boner. It's going to be a big chunk of my portfolio. And it's going to be hard to sit there and say, do I want that much money into that one stock? That's going to be difficult. Tyler, I have no idea where NVIDIA is going to run. It could go even higher than 150. Who the hell knows? And look at Tesla. Tesla's a perfect example. A company that's fundamentals doubled, and the stock has fallen from 415 down to 180, and it has struggled. And now people have shifted their view on Tesla, and they're getting upset like, oh, I'm getting frustrated with the stock. Guys, you can't gauge the business by the stock price in the short run. You just can't. It's very difficult not to, but you can't. Oh, I actually disagree with you, real tech geek. And obviously you're a tech geek. I don't think they've become stagnant without Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs died like 12 years ago. They've done great things since then. Look at their new math app. It's freaking unbelievable. It makes nerds like me who do math quickly in my head completely useless. Before, I'd be able to get chicks just by doing math problems at the bar. Now I can't do that. Said no one ever. Diego, I think you're right. Why don't we all just copy and paste Nancy Pelosi trades? I think I did a video recently on J&J. NVIDIA to 5 trillion. 52-week low video a few weeks ago on the main channel. Yeah. The main channel. And guys, by the way, if you don't have our software, what are you doing? Our community and software is incredible, and it's only getting better. Go sign up. It's a great 7-day trial. There's 220 people watching right now on this channel. I want 10 people to go up and sign up right now. By the way, there's only a set number of spots for the day. But how many spots are left for the day? Probably 9 or 10. I don't know. But guys, you're crazy. What are you doing? This is freaking $1 a day, and it can literally, you have the community. You have all these live stream people to just go out there and talk to at all times. You have Dalton in there. You have the software. What is going? And the software is only getting better. I can't wait till we start getting more economic data. We're going to have all the data imaginable in the future. Lock it in now. Go right now. BG dollars. I do have a degree. I have an economics degree from the University of Michigan. Exactly, Los Breezy. You're right. How you like them apples? Who's having a better 2024? Mo is, from a stock perspective. Marco Rubio, do you ever buy or not buy a stock because you don't believe in the CEO? I'll tell you what, if Palantir went to $5 today, I'd have a hard time buying them still because of Alex Karp. That guy I do not like that guy. I do not like that guy. No, actually, I think Mo's, if you just talk about stocks, I think, because remember, Mo's way more invested. He has Apple. I mean, he has absolutely crushed it. For me, I have like 20% of my money invested. But guess what? It doesn't bother me. I have the rest of my cash sitting there making 5.4%, and I have cash secured puts making me 10 to 15%. I'm happy. Guys, one great thing about this market has taught me is that it's okay to just make 8 or 9% in a year. I have real estate. The real estate's done phenomenal. I have businesses. The business, look at Everything Money. If I told you guys what Everything Money is worth, according to somebody recently, you'd be like, F you, Paul. Carpo's the worst. Holy cow, Steve. Up 63%. Incredible. Nate, look at this. I've used Stock Analyzer a ridiculous amount of times. That's awesome. Keep using it. You know what I've used? I've used Retirement Calculator. I'm the #1 Retirement Calculator user in our entire system this year. And I'm not even retiring, and I have more money than I ever need. I don't mean that to be cocky. I mean it to say that's how valuable that software is. It keeps me in check to be okay not making 20% a year. Because I'm like, my life's not going to be different if I make 10% or 20% a year or 5% a year. I'm still going to have more money than I need. So it allows me to make the decisions I want to make. Oh, Diego, you really think so, huh? Or are you being funny? Hey, Moog. So it's interesting. What's interesting to me about Boeing is it got to like $85 a share during COVID. Stabilized. If you go back and take the best year of Boeing, was it worth $170 a share? That's the question. Do I think Boeing's going away? No. Would I be shocked if it went away? No. That's not something I would have said 3 years ago. Boeing to me is the juice worth the squeeze. What's the upside versus the downside? I don't think it's a 10x in the next 5 years on the upside. But what's the downside in the next 5 years? I don't know. To me, I don't think the risk reward is there. I haven't done the exact numbers, but it doesn't feel like it's selling for such dirt cheap prices, right? It's obvious to me. On average, would you say your returns beat the... So BG, great question. Since COVID, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's 100% fact. Before COVID, absolutely. What was the exact number? I don't know, but I remember it'd be like, I remember there were years where the market was down like 10% and I'm up like 17%. But there were years when the market was up 30%, I'm only up 10%. Like, and don't even factor in real estate and businesses. Oh my God, it absolutely crushes. That's why I don't worry. And by the way, it doesn't even include covered calls either. Like, but since COVID, I have absolutely been abysmal compared to the market. Like terrible. But I like my process. I'm going to do a video later about the equal market cap weighted S&P 500 ETF RSP. When you look at it, its history since 2003 versus the last 3 years is going to make you laugh. And it's going to show you where we are. My worst move was buying. I hate this fucking heart. What stock is that? Is it now? Is it just now? What? What's now? What are they? This the internet provider? No. SaaS delivery model. Ooh, high gross profit. Oh, damn. It's at 730 right now. Well, it makes you feel better. It's selling for a high PE and high price of free cash flow. Jacob, I agree with you. I have a hard time on that one. I love this question from BG. BG, you're asking great questions. Love these questions. On average, would you say your returns be? Yeah, I mean, just on stocks since COVID. And the other thing is that streak since COVID, 4 years, has hurt my entire long-term streak where I used to be above the market and now I'm below the market because of the last 4 years. But again, I think the next 4 years are going to make up for that. I think the next 10 years, I'm not worried about it. But I can understand because you look at, since it took a lot of hype to get to this level. Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that. I love that question. Do a video later. Was worried he opened an... What? I'm going to do a video later. Was worried he opened an OF account there. OnlyFans. Oh, Arthur, I would never invest just 10,000 in one company. Just do an ETF, a long-term ETF. That's my opinion. Diego, great question. From covered calls and cash secured puts. So covered calls alone, I've done about 4 to 6% a year. Cash secured puts have probably been like 9 or 10% a year, assuming that's after getting the shares. So if I got the shares, I don't include it in that. If you include that money that I got the shares on, it's higher than that. Options can do... It's interesting to me because I had a really smart guy that I believe in say you can't do more than 1 or 3% a year on covered calls. In an up market, I was making 4 to 6% a year very consistently. Mo has actually crushed that this year because of the help of Dalton. It seems, I don't know why it's been good. Cash secured puts make a lot of sense. Like I understand why I do well with those because I'm But the covered calls thing, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know how it's been 4 to 6%. Listen, there was a book called The Warren Buffett's Next Door, where a guy said he was making 12% a year off 12 to 20% a year on on covered calls. I don't get how he did that. But then again, people probably wonder, how does he get? I'm happy with covered calls making 1 to 3%. I'm very content making 1 to 3%. Not very content, but I'm fine with that, because to me, it's just extra money. I also keep in mind, I never want to lose the shares unless I really want to, like a CCL, I wrote a very aggressive covered call to lose them when I wanted to get out of the position. So I wrote it, and it got taken away from me. I was fine with that. Eugenio, yes, we have. We've thought about having other YouTubers show our software. The hard part is getting people who really have the fundamental beliefs that we do. That's the hard part. Top Cat, my history has shown, apart from the last 4 years, that yes, I can. And I have. And here's what I'll say to that, Top Cat. I've always said this to people. If you don't think I can, I'll do a competition. I'm not saying you. I'm not saying Top Cat. I'm just saying, I'm very confident I can beat the market over long periods of time. In the short run, no idea. But over long periods of time, because I have the emotional fortitude to do that. And I think that's all you need. Now, I also buy large companies. So my beating the market isn't going to be like it was in the past. But I still think I can. You add in covered calls, absolutely. I'm not worried about that. Has the short run been very taxing? Absolutely. But we'll see. My history has shown that I'm willing to buy things that people tell me I'm dumb to own. That's the hardest part about investing. I literally had a tech CEO sit in front of me and tell me how dumb I was for owning Microsoft at $20 a share. You don't get it, Paul. You don't get it. Microsoft's dead. I'm like, but their revenue is going up every year. It doesn't matter. They're dead. They're a dead company. I should know. I'm in the tech space. I guarantee if we find that guy now and ask him, he'd be like, no, I never said that. That's the difference. I don't have covered calls in NVIDIA. I had naked calls, and that's how I lost all that money. We've done Costco. I don't get Costco. Costco, I think, is just overpriced. I just think it's the whole Charlie Munger, everybody loves it because Munger loved it and said he would never sell it. I don't know. I don't get Costco at this price. At the end of the day, it's a great company, but it's still a question of can it grow to justify the price? Maybe it can. I mean, China's still a big market for them. Big stock investment mistake I've ever made, or biggest mistake I've ever made? Biggest mistake I've ever made was shorting NASDAQ and NVIDIA. Biggest stock investment I ever made was selling Microsoft. Selling Microsoft was just a terrible, terrible mistake. I sold it at 58 or $60. I don't remember the exact number. Sold it way too soon. This is him. They're coming to the door now. Dan, they're coming to the door now. Yeah, so and that's the other thing. The biggest mistake I've ever made was the speculative play of shorting. I regret that immensely. Immensely. And there's no way, shape, or form that I'm ever going to say, no, that was the right decision. One of the best things that ever happened to me was it not going well, because it got me to say, Paul, stick to what you do well. And that's picking companies at good prices. That's it. Sean, maybe you're right. What's up, Deej? Guys, my stepson's here. Yeah, you're right, Eugenio. You're right. But at the same point, I want to promote. I don't want to just whore ourselves out to anybody. Listen, I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, can I use your software in my videos if I give you a shout out? I said, yeah, absolutely. We'd love to expand on that. We'd love to get more people to use our software. That's a very big thing for us. So we'll see. Listen, the funny part is the people, it's whenever we talk to marketing or PR people, they mention, hey, what about this YouTube channel? Hate them. What about this one? Hate them. Idiots, morons. So it's what are we going to do here? How do you reconcile take profits, let your winners run? Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm okay to let the winners run. What was that, Tim? Who's Tommy Pickles? Oh, do you know that? Mikey knows that stuff. Diego, I hope you're right. I would never guess on that. on PayPal going to 100 end of the year. My thoughts on NEO. Well, Jacob, 189 billion, but he's making 5.4% on that. Inflation is 3.5 to 4%. So he's beating inflation. Granted, he has to pay taxes on that, but still, I don't think he's losing out to inflation that much. Do you look at any EU stocks? Well, I want to sell covered calls, so I can't really do that with EU stocks. But one stock in Europe that I do like is Louis Vuitton. I don't own it because I think it's overpriced, but that's a company that I want to own. Paul, how high the stock market is overvalued today based on, yeah, I can show the percentage. It's on my videos. I think it's 106% overvalued. I just answered that, Oleg. In the last 4 years, I've gotten crushed. I used to have an alpha above S&P. In the last 4 years, it's definitely dropped below that. But that doesn't include my real estate, my businesses. I'm just talking about stock portfolio. And I'm not including covered calls in that and cash secured puts. I'm talking about just purely stock to stock. That's it. Not including cash secured puts, not including covered calls, not including my real estate, not including my businesses, not including any of that stuff. Is it possible something that's, yeah, maybe so. Have you checked Warren Buffett, Bet, Liberty Global? Yeah, he's, I don't get the Sirius XM one. I don't get that one with Warren Buffett. Just like when he had Verizon, I didn't understand that. So guys, who here is signing up for our software? Come on, guys. Help me get my my stepson here a new car. Dan, you want a new car? Oh, here you go. Here you go. What'd you drive, the convertible? Oh God. I don't believe. Oh, great job, BG. Look at this. I love this. I own both Baba and Farmer Sprouts, but my biggest position is S&P. So right here, what do you think about people having cash in their? To me, the 401k is to be constantly invested in low cost funds to just grow. And that's your money that you're just like, I'm not going to even think about this. I'm at dollar cost and just keep growing with it. Oh, wow. Good job, Oleg. Yeah, I agree with you, Hustler. Market risk reward is very UGG right now. So, yeah, that's great, BG. Oh, wow. Exact same for you. That's interesting. But remember one thing, guys, I don't want you to look at it. And if Baba goes to 40, don't think you're wrong. I'm not telling you you are right or wrong based on, but don't factor in like, oh, I bought it 71. Well, you should look at Guy Spear. Guy Spear is a phenomenal investor. He bought Baba at 250. Do I think Guy Spear is an idiot because he bought Baba at 250? No. Can I understand that justification? Sure. I wasn't buying it at 250, but I can understand the justification for it. And Guy Spear is a brilliant man. Any thoughts on Etsy? It keeps going down. I haven't looked at Etsy in a while. Let's look at Etsy. Does it even make money? Etsy. What'd you get from McDonald's, Dan? I can just check the email, but what'd you get? Sad. Wow. Etsy is down 80%. 11 price to free cash flow. Holy cow. That's interesting. Are their financials getting better and better? Wow. Interesting. Etsy is very interesting. Is its profit margin big? Is that an aberration here? Oh, they had a big write-off probably last year. Oh, yeah, look at that. They had $1 billion write-off 2 years ago. That's why. Oh, Etsy's kind of interesting, actually. Hustler, I don't really look into the whole petrodollar agreement. I mean, at the end of the day, like everybody's like, oh, the dollar's not going to be the reserve currency. I don't care. We can still do very well if we're not the reserve currency. The reserve currency changed 100 years ago, and what was it? It was the pound or the dollar or the whatever it was, the euro, the UK number. I don't care. That stuff does not bother me in the least bit. China becoming the largest economy in the world, don't care. More power to them. That's not going to make us worse. They're going to become a bigger economy than us. So is India. Why? They have so much more to grow, and they have so many more people than we do. That's just it. I don't care. More power to them. I love it. The rest of the world becoming wealthier will make us wealthier. Don't care about those things at all. Benjamar, this is a great question you ask. Is value investing dead? It's a very common question, and it's usually what happens at bull markets. I just don't think value investing in and of itself. It's just, value investing's goal is to buy $1 for less than $1. That's it. Momentum can work, just like at times there'll be momentum that doesn't work. Yeah, I agree with Elds right here. I haven't looked at AMD in a long time. I haven't looked at PDD. I feel like Starbucks will drop big in the next earning. Yeah, maybe you're right. Oh, like I think $60 on Starbucks is a great buy, and I'll be buying with you. Mercado Libre is a pretty neat company. I think the numbers are not representative of what it actually is on the earnings side. Hey, Paul, what do you think is Target lagging? Why do you think Target is lagging super? Well, because Walmart is cheaper than Target. I feel like Target has had this image problem because of the woke, go broke, go woke thing. And two, I think the consumer is worse than people think it is, and they're going to Walmart versus Target. The question you have to ask yourself is, will that drive? I mean, look at Target. Target was down to like $101, $103 a share. I think I bought last time at 105, but my basis is like 125 or I don't know what it exactly is. Yeah, I agree with you, Real Tech Geek. America will be fine. The only thing that worries me about America, honestly, is these taxes. And when countries get so big and so powerful, you wonder to yourself, like, do they just get so cocky?
What was that Trump was talking about, getting rid of income tax?
And making it all tariffs. So it's basically a tax on us anyhow. To me, that is a regressive tax. That's a tax on poor people, not a tax on, so to me, I don't like progressive tax. I don't like regressive tax.
Because goods would be really expensive,
way more
right?
expensive. Yeah, tariffs
so it would be like inflation.
But he's doing the smart thing by saying that, because everybody's like, oh yeah, fuck those other countries. And then you're like, well, wait a second. It's still going to be higher prices for you. And you know what? In a family of four making $60,000 a year combined, you're going to feel that a lot more than a family of four making $600,000 a year combined.
If he wouldn't have said tariffs and just said we're ending the federal income tax, would he have had you?
No, because I'd have been like, okay, well, how are you going to replace it?
Get rid of sending money out?
Well, we got to get rid of a lot of things. Hey, Nick, what was your theory? We save $1 a day. Are we going to end? Are we going to end the deficit? What was your comment?
My question was...
I know, I'm teasing. Okay.
By the way, I watched this video, Sean Ryan. I don't know who else watches Sean Ryan here. I watched it, and I just don't know if I believe her, Nick.
Oh, I don't.
All right.
Well, Marco, I like the idea of a consumption tax. I prefer, people are going to laugh, universal basic income, as long as it's done with all these social programs eliminated and much smaller defense. We got to get rid of all of our bases worldwide, focus on spending much less dollars just defending the U.S., make it a universal basic income with a flat tax, 40% flat tax, but a UBI of like $25,000 a year. I will gladly sign up for that as a high income earner. Gladly sign up for that. Because then it would, and that balance the budget, have a surplus, pay down that debt. So now if you don't want to work, you get 25 grand a year. If you want to work, you make 100 grand, you pay 40% in taxes. It's 40 grand, you get 25 grand back, you pay 15% in taxes. I just think it's the best way to go. It makes everybody happy. It gives the left basic income for everybody who wants to live. It gives the right a flat tax and smaller government. That's the way to go. And Milton Friedman, our hardcore libertarian right-winger, believed in the UBI. Put the money in the people's hands. Don't let the government have it to dole it out. It's a waste. If T-Man gets reelected, I think stimmy checks come back. That was one of the best things I've ever read. If T-Man gets reelected, I think stimmy checks come back. I don't know. I don't think Social Security is UBI. I don't think it is. Because first off, you got to live to that level. I sit there and say, listen, you're 18 years old, you finished high school, you don't want to work, here's your $25,000 a year. Have fun. But you're not going to get any other help from anybody at all. Zero. That's it. I have a whole one tax plan that I have. I really want to bring it back to talk about it because I really think it's effective. It eliminates all social programs. It eliminates all real estate taxes, sales taxes, makes it a 40% flat. Oh, that's the other thing. It gets rid of all these other taxes. No sales tax, no real estate property taxes. None of those things. Gets rid of all of that and gives you a 40% flat tax. You're telling me that wealthy people wouldn't sign up for that? Of course they would. Of course they would. Dalton's such a whore for a Porsche. I bet you I'd get Dalton to do like nasty stuff to me if I promise him a Porsche. Top Cat, America is not so rich from a government perspective. And the bigger and bigger government gets and the more and more deficit there is, it's going to lag on America's growth. And will it get rid of the homelessness situation? It'll definitely help. I still think there's going to be people who are going to blow to that $25,000 a year. But I said to them, hey, blow it any way you want. I don't care. I just don't care. Go do whatever you want with it. I'd rather have that than the government having. I'd rather put money in the hands of the people than the government, all times. And I want people to be able to choose what they want to do with their own money. That's it. Have fun. What are you laughing about? Paul, don't tell Carol, but yes. Why pay 40% if you can pay 0%? Because, well, Top Cat, because 0% doesn't work. Everybody's heard of the laffer curve, right? I've talked about this before. The laffer curve says it's tax rate. So this is tax rate, and this is revenue. Okay, at 0% tax, no, it's not that. Or is this the tax rate? This is tax rate, sorry. Tax rate, revenue. At 0% tax, you collect $0 in revenue. At 100% tax, you collect 0 in revenue because nobody has an incentive to work. Somewhere along the line, there's some sort of level where it's the maximum efficiency, where you have the equal blend of high tax revenue along with tax rate that's efficient. Question is, what's that level? That's the hard part, guys. That's the effing hard part. How much time we have left? About 9 minutes. My BTI bet, I don't care for the dividend. I actually want that. I've said in the video, if you watched, get rid of the dividend, buy back shares. I'm hoping they start buying back shares at some point. I think it's a business with a very negative perception, but with growing free cash flow. Yep, Top Cat, that's exactly it. That's exactly right. Paul, I work for the DOD as a lineman, and I have TSP with a 5% contribution. Is it better than the 4? You know, I don't know. I don't know the way that that works. I would wish I had the answer for you, but I don't know how that works. Novartis, maybe you're right. You could be right. What's your overall view of the economic markets during or after elections? I don't care about that stuff. I think it's all a guess. I think people who claim that they know it's just all a guess. All a guess. Who knows what happens? Oh, I can't wait for this election, though. I can't wait for this election. It's going to be fun. Maximum efficiency tax rate 0%. Listen, at the end of the day, Hodo Prime, you got to have some sort of structure. You got to have military. That costs money. You got to have police. That costs money. You have the judicial system. That costs money. You got to have some things to make sure we stay in normal society. With that said, what country doesn't even have a military? It's like Iceland doesn't even have a military or something like that. But we're all in everybody's business, so we got to protect ourselves because we go in and poke the bears.
Are you going to watch the debate next week?
I would like to say I would, but I never watch debates. And they're also turning off mics.
So they're going to turn off mics while the other person's talking.
Yeah.
So no interruptions.
Yeah, that's
but
terrible.
But then
I want to see Trump interrupt.
No advisors are allowed to talk to them during the debate.
Oh, did it happen to me before?
Oh, yeah. Like commercial breaks. Like they would come and like talk to them.
Well, they're allowing breaks now.
But they're not allowing anybody to talk to them during commercial breaks.
So here's the deal. Biden, I don't think Biden has anything to lose from these debates because everybody's expecting him to get crushed.
They're expecting him to get crushed, but...
So the expectation is for him to get crushed. So all he can do is do better and completely wow people. I don't think it's going to hurt Biden at all. It'll be fun for all the Trump supporters.
Is he going to start talking about something that's like irrelevant?
Nobody on the left can even say that Biden is of sound mind. There's no chance.
Right.
If you say that, you're delusional. You're just like the idiots who think that Trump lost in 2020. Don't get triggered, everyone. Mo is going to kill me. I'm a right-winger. Don't worry. I'm a right-winger. I'm a true right-winger.
I just want Trump to say, I'm going to win for the third time.
Yeah, that'd be great. I hope he says fake news like 8,000 times to Biden. Did that just trigger our fan base? Lyle, for real, I'm actually doing a video on equal weight S&P very soon. Over long periods of time, it does quite well. Oh, look at Ulta. Yeah, Ulta's pretty interesting, isn't it? Thoughts on JetBlue? I haven't looked at JetBlue. The only airline I have is Southwest, LUV. And I would not recommend any buy it. What does the world need less of? Libs. That's true. You saw me write that. Did you see that on Twitter? A Twitter account wrote, what does the world need less of? And all I wrote was libs. So for everybody who says I'm like, somebody called me a libtard the other day, and I'm like, yeah, you don't clearly watch the show that much because I'm clearly not one. Does anybody follow me on Twitter? Follow me on the Twitter machine. What's on the screen?
Down to the right.
At EM Paul G. Down to who's right? My right? If I point this way?
Yep, right there.
Right there. Follow me on the Twitter machine. I'm almost at 8,000 followers. I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm just going to put a couple nudes up and I'll probably go to 20,000. My bull thesis for Alta is growing same store sales, buying back shares at good values. Boom. That's my, with a reasonable price.
Harsha was asking where you park cash.
90-day treasuries, 5.38%. That's why I've always parked cash, even when it was 0.01%.
There's a high yield
Michael,
savings, Paul. There's a high yield savings getting 5.27.
For how long?
Period. It just is. Tab
Ongoing.
bank. Tab bank.
As an American living abroad, how can I invest in ETFs? Just have a brokerage account like Schwab. Do they ban you from having Schwab accounts abroad? Yeah, I don't think so. Paul, time for a serious question. How jealous of my Corolla are you? Dalton, let me put it this way. If I lost every dollar I ever owned ever had in my entire life, and a judge said to me, you're relegated to owning a Corolla to drive around, I would move to a city that did not allow cars, that didn't have cars for transportation. That way I wouldn't have to drive a Corolla. That's how jealous of your Corolla I am.
Rank it.
By the way, his Corolla is nice. I'm just trying to be funny because everybody on Twitter is like, oh, you have the person who drives a Corolla is richer than the person who drives a Mercedes. Shut the fuck up, you idiots. No, they're not.
His Corolla and my old Ford Taurus I used to have.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that Ford Taurus. How many times I had to pick you up that one time when it broke down?
Oh, yeah.
When you getting your Lincoln, Tim?
I don't know. I was trying to get the guy to come over, like bring it over so I could see it here, but he wouldn't do it.
Lyle is clearly a new follower of the channel because he writes, do you guys invest your EM revenue? What were you doing before this? Lyle, we got 8 or 9 businesses upstairs. We've got 1,000 apartments. We've got multiple businesses. We reinvest every dollar we make in our businesses. Paul would move to Mackinac Island. Yeah, that's a nice place, actually. Corolla is boring. The whole thing on Twitter, though, is everyone's like, oh, Corolla. So what was it, like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago? I was driving to my house, and there was a Corolla all rusted out with the muffler hanging down at an intersection. I took a picture of it, and I said, according to Twitter, this guy is a lot richer than me. What would I rather have, Corolla or Subaru? Oh, Corolla all day. I'm sorry, Subaru. I just want to, like... There are 2 groups of people in this world I want to kill. Luckily, they both overlap. Subaru drivers, sorry, Matt Jones, and bicyclists. I hate bicyclists. They take up the road. They're so arrogant. They're a bunch of a-holes.
I think they're 2 in 1.
What was that?
2 in 1.
2 in 1, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, 1,000 apartments. We have 1,000 apartments and growing. We'll probably have 5 or 10,000 in the next 5 or 10 years. All right, guys. It's 1 minute left. Which state are you from? Well, I live in Ohio, but I was born in Iraq, actually.
So it sounds like we got some new folks in chat, which is awesome. Just make sure that you subscribe right now.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel and the community.
And then you'll find our main channel as well, Everything Money.
Lyle, for real. Yeah, this YouTube channel is a small part of what we do, but it's growing very fast, and it's going to become a big... Real estate's always going to be the biggest revenue generator because when you have 1,000 apartments, you can imagine the revenue that brings in. And as we're buying, our goal is to buy 500 apartments a year for the next 5 or 10 years. So we're going to have a lot of apartments. That's going to be a big revenue generator. But the YouTube channel and our software is very fun, and it makes it worth it. I mean, how many people do we have working on this software and channel now? 7?
Yeah.
It's about 7? Yeah. So it's fun. Hey, Aaron, what's going on? You're about to get downvotes, bro. For what?
Thank you for the 1 downvote.
Oh, Jeff, I like Corolla. That's being funny to Dalton because it's purely the Twitter. Corollas are millionaires. People who drive Mercedes aren't rich. I'm like, I know so many millionaires. It's ridiculous. And guess how many drive Corollas? 0 drive Corollas. Guess how many drive cheap cars? One. And he's probably on the video now, so I'm not going to say, but he's a cheap man, and that's why he drives a cheap car. And he's not a super high income earner. He's just a good saver. But the millionaires I know who like built businesses and did that, they all drive really nice cars. We all do. That's it. Whenever people say like, oh, if I made a lot of money, I wouldn't change how I spend. Lie. Everybody changes how they spend when they make more money. Even Warren Buffett does. That whole bullshit that he lives off $100,000 a year is a complete lie. He does not live off $100,000 a year. He spends $1 million a year just on net jets. That he's not going to leave his kids more than a few $100,000 is a complete lie. He gave each one billions of dollars to their foundations. You're telling me they're not going to collect big salaries from those foundations? Of course they are. Just because he masked it that way. And the wife already gave them $10 million when she died. And I'm quite sure Warren Buffett's going to give them a lot of money. He's not going to give his kids hundreds of thousands of dollars after having, I think I read somewhere if he didn't donate his money, he'd have like $230 billion, something like that right now. Like, I don't want to hear it. That's all bullshit. All right, guys, time to go. Thank you very much for your time. Great live stream. And don't forget to sign up for the software and the community in the link below. Take care.